All right, thank you. This is a story about showing up and getting to work. This is Popham Beach in Maine, and it's where I first learned to play in the water. I'm not from Maine, but I had a lot of family there. I'm actually from Brunswick, Ohio. I know. But that's right next to Cleveland, and that's where the Cuyahoga River is famous for catching on fire. All the fish in Lake Erie died. I didn't swim in the lake, and I didn't swim in the river. I did swim in a pool a lot. This is from a college swim meet. God, we thought we were so badass, right? But really, this is where I learned how to work for something larger than myself. And not long after this, I landed in Charleston to coach the City of Charleston swim team. Coached 7 full years, never fell in the pool one time. Also discovered open water swimming. And that's under the old bridges. That's me. It was a while back. I don't think I can do that anymore. But about then, I also met Kathleen Wilson. And she wanted to swim across the English Channel. I thought she was totally nuts. But after 2 years of coaching, I watched her enter the water in Dover, England at 4 a.m. in the dark. And then 13 hours later, she stood on the beach in Calais, France. Kathleen is not an elite athlete, but she showed up every day and she got to work. That's something I'll never forget. So I got to work too, as you can see. I just went surfing. Now, really, seriously, I went to graduate school and law school, and I did that back to back, and then spent a few years in Columbia working at the South Carolina Court of Appeals, and I still surf a lot. Now, water is the unifying thread in my life. It's where I feel most at home, and it's where I go to make sense of the world. This is just my story. Our community is full of people with deep roots and very personal connections to the water. The thought of losing those connections to pollution is just unbearable. That's why I show up, and that's why I've gotten to work as your Charleston waterkeeper. But the organization is so much more than one person. It's Cheryl Carmack, it's Harriet Parker, and it's Meredith Lewis, and we are motivated by just an unwavering commitment to protect and restore your waterways for future generations. Now, the Charleston Harbor is an estuary. A lot of folks don't know this. And right now, you're sitting in the middle of it. And the law says it belongs to all of you, that you've got a right to enjoy it, that you can go down to the Ashley River and catch a fish, that you can go to the Isle of Palms and go surfing, and that you can go to Rantall's Creek and catch crabs and bring them home and cook them up and put them on the dinner table for your family. It's all part of the public trust, and the state of South Carolina is supposed to manage it for your benefit and protect it for you. But things get weird in Columbia, and that's why we exist. We look out for you, we defend the public trust, and we hold polluters and your elected leaders accountable for doing right by your waterways. All isn't well, right? We're in a fight for clean water. Our right to fish, to swim, to paddle, to enjoy the water with our families without fear of pollution is under threat. It's bacteria pollution, it's wetland destruction, it's aggressive development, it's failed environmental oversight. Our waterways are often not healthy and they're often not safe, and climate change makes it all worse. Our elected leaders, they argue, they draft these plans, progress is too slow for the task at hand, but it's up to us to act, and it's up to us to lead the way. And that's why we put thousands of volunteers in your waterways to recycle oyster shell and build new oyster reef. It's why we test bacteria at 20 different sites every Wednesday, May through October, from Clark Sound to Philbin Creek in North Charleston, so that you know when and where it's safe to swim with your family. This is Gabby Kuba, folks. She's one of the greatest interns we ever had. Keep an eye out for her, because she's going to go really far. After 9 years of testing now, we've uncovered some real hard truths. And here's just one. James Island Creek is full of human poop. And that's why we're pressing to get rid of septic tanks. We want to get them out of the creek's watershed. Philbin Creek is another hot spot. And City of North Charleston, if you're listening tonight, we're coming next, right? It's 2021, and nobody should have to eat crabs or catch fish out of water contaminated with fecal matter. Data and advocacy drive change, and that's why we put volunteers in the marsh for cleanups. And data about plastic pollution from cleanups just like this one is why every community around the Charleston Harbor has a single-use plastic ban. And guess what, right? These things work. We're finding a lot less plastic material in the water. But these guys notice. These are plastic bag lobbyists monitoring what we do. I'm kidding you. I'm not kidding you at all. This is really them, and they monitor what we do from Washington, D.C. on K Street, right? And they have a PAC, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to get a law passed in Columbia to ban local plastic bans. That doesn't make any sense. We beat them 6 years. We're going to beat them 7 with your help. Look, clean water advocacy works, but it's not always fast. About 5 years ago, we discovered a loophole in Charleston's water quality regulations. And that loophole allowed 80% more bacteria in waterways like Shem Creek than is considered safe. So we exposed the loophole, demanded DHEC fix it, and they ignored us, right? So we turned to our friends at the South Carolina Environmental Law Project, and together we filed a legal petition. And earlier this year, DHEC raised the water quality standard in 24 coastal waterways, including Shem Creek. So persistence and good attorneys pay off. Nurdles! I can't stand these things, all right? So these tiny little plastic pellets are everywhere, and they keep coming from Texas, literally trainload by trainload. I wish Chevron Phillips Chemical would keep them down there, but the South Carolina Port Authority wants to ship them, so we get them here, and they get spilled all over our waterways. Back in 2019, a longtime supporter called to tell us that the beach at Sullivan's Island was strewn with these tiny little pellets. And we spent 8 months investigating and found nurdles everywhere we looked. From Capers Island to Monk's Corner, all the evidence pointed to one culprit, but DHEC declined to enforce its own environmental laws. So we teamed up with the Southern Environmental Law Center and filed 2 lawsuits and won $1 million settlement, right? That's the largest of its kind in your waterways to date. We're not done yet. Right, now all that money will go to the Coastal Community Foundation to fund projects that benefit the health of the Charleston Harbor. And that sends a message: do better, don't spill, and we're watching. So this to me is Charleston Waterkeeper, right? But it's really Brittany Graham. And she's an old intern of ours, and she was a great one too. And I love it because she's engaged, she's empowered, and she's active in the fight for clean water. And really, that's what Charleston Waterkeeper offers you. It offers you a foundation and a pathway for clean water, to take action for clean water. It's the most important thing that we do here at Charleston Waterkeeper, and I'm really proud of that. So let's get to work together. Thank you.